Now then, family, welcome back to another video on Jazza TV. Today we're going to talk about something that's very serious in boxing. Ticket sales. Ticket sales. This is from the outside. People don't think, but it looks a little bit different. So people who've never had nothing to do with the boxing sport would never believe that a boxer is required to sell tickets to cover his own purses, sometimes on boxing bills. When you're starting out, it's called a ticket deal. Boxers fight on shows and you have to sell tickets to cover your own wages. Not only your own wages, your opponent's wages. And I was coming from an amateur career, a really good amateur career, a successful amateur career, fighting for England and Great Britain. Probably had 30 fights. Most of my fights were for my country and Great Britain. And when I turned professional, I only had like 6 or 7 senior fights. 6 or 7 senior fights is not many fights, and I'm young at this point, and I didn't fully understand the game, the business. Actually, I understood the game, understood the sport. It's one of them attitudes. If you're good enough, you're old enough, and that's how I seen it. But I didn't understand business. Didn't know anyone who was part of a business. Didn't know any businessmen. I did not know fuck all about life and business. So I'm just gonna go round this roundabout a few more times here. Yeah. So anyway, business, I knew nothing about it. So I was looked after. I turned professional with, I went for a meeting with all the promoters, and I decided to be managed by Steve Woods and be promoted by Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton had Sky dates at the time. Steve Woods never. He should have, because he had so many good fighters and he worked hard, but he never. But he managed me, and that's why my choice was to be managed by Steve Woods and to be promoted by Ricky Hatton, because I thought they were both brilliant for me at the time. So when I turned professional, I was looked after by Steve Woods. I was fighting 7 times a year. 7 times a year is a lot of fights for a professional. For the first 3 years. And anyone who is a professional knows how hard it is to get fights. So obviously I'm covering my own tickets, I'm covering my own sales, and I'm also fighting on the television, on Sky. So not only was I fighting on television, I'm also covering my own sales, which is good for promoters because it costs them nothing, and it also, you're a television name, which is good for them to have on their shows as well. So I'd got to 17, maybe like 14, maybe, I don't know, about 20 fights or something like that. I fought for the British title for the first time. I fought for the British title. I picked up 2 titles along the way in English, something the equivalent of a Central Area title. Went around at the time, it was called a Master Silver. The British Boxing Board of Control changed the belt over, so it was the equivalent of a Central Area title, which for me it's a fantastic title. You know, it doesn't get the credit that it deserves. Then the English, and I'm fighting for the British title within something like 3 years, I think, as a professional. Good going, especially as a 20-year-old turning professional. And very immature, didn't grow, and I'm doing well. I'm fighting, and you look at the pictures back now and you think, fucking hell, you weren't even a grown man. You're fighting grown men who are like me now, and at the age of 21, all them years ago, I'm fighting people like myself. So I was doing well, you know what I mean? I was flying full of confidence, and I fight for the British title, and I loses my first fight. I'll pick that up on another video. It's an interesting story, that fight, but this one's not about that. So losing my first British title fight, and whatever happened between the promotional company went to pot. I don't know really what happened, so I can't really speak on it, but it just went a bit mad. I didn't really get a explanation what happened with Hatton TV. It just sort of went. I think they lost Sky dates. They all got given to Matchroom. Matchroom took over at that point, and I went to, where did I go then? Don't know what happened. My manager fell out with my coach, or my coach fell out with my manager, or something along them lines, and I took loyalty towards my coach. And in the gym, we all got put with a manager all together, which I advise fighters not to do that. You shouldn't do that. You should get your own manager, because what happens if one of your friends fall out with someone, then you're in that deal as well. So get your own manager and your own team. This is just my experience. I wouldn't say it's good or bad, it's just what happened with me, and if I could do it again, which I did, I learned from it. So we all got managed by Neil Marsh. Neil Marsh as a manager, you know when you're going, you know when you're asleep. Neil Marsh is still working. Neil Marsh is that type of manager. He's constantly working, and that's the good thing about Neil Marsh. He's a grafter, he's a worker, and very could be excessive, but Neil tried his best, and 100% credit to Neil because he tried his best. Slowed down. My fight stopped coming because I left Steve Woods, because Steve was getting me active when Hatton wasn't. So Steve Woods done a really good job at me, and one of my regrets, if I had any, I don't have regrets, but if I had one regret in boxing, it would be not sitting down with Steve Woods as a man, because I wasn't yet a man. I was still a boy, and just getting to understand from where we are, the business side of it. He tried to sit down with me and talk to me, Steve, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was very suspicious. We went for me and my sponsor Tommy, we went for a meal with Steve, and when I got home, it started to conspire in my own head. I was thinking, what's going on here? Is he trying to take control of my career? Because then my coach was saying, what the fuck's he doing having a meeting without us and all that. So it was a bit mad. So we had no idea what was going on. So I took my coach's side, and it was like, no, I'm going to have to fucking leave Steve. I did, but yeah, I couldn't tell you why I left him or what happened really. But it was one of my regrets leaving Steve Woods, because he's a good manager, he's a good man. More than anything, he's a good man. And so then my activity dropped, so I had to work my way back in. I had to think it was a warm-up fight, it was a title fight. 2 or 3 fights later, it took me a year or 2 years to get back in contention for the British title fight, and he had the British title fight, and I won the title. And it was at this point I'd signed with Frank Warren. So where I'm going with this, the fight I had a fight, a takeover fight in between. I already held the British title, and Frank Warren was good enough to get me on a bill just to take a warm-over fight against a fella called, I think it was Arnaldo Solano. And Arnaldo, I think it was Arnaldo Solano. He was what you would call a journeyman, because he's there for the purpose to get you active. You win the fight, you keep your record, you keep your career moving, and you've got activity, and you're ready to go into the next one. So he was there for the purpose. I knew what the purpose was, and my job was to sell the tickets, keep myself active, and obviously carry on to then get a British title defence the next fight. But Frank was good enough to put me on as a warm-up, as a keep busy fight. And at this point, I didn't understand what a keep busy fight was, and I didn't understand what a ticket deal was really. I was just selling tickets. I was selling 100 tickets, and I used to leave the tickets last minute. I used to get my old camp done first and foremost. It's so important. I thought it was more important to get fit for a fight, which it is in a sense, but in another sense, if you're not selling tickets, you're not going to get no fight. So I thought it was more important to sell me tickets, get myself fit as I can, in the best shape I can, and not worry about the tickets. And at the end, then worry about the tickets, and then shift a few hundred before the fight in the last week of the fight. And when you use your rest week, I thought I'll just drive around on my west week. I'll just drive around on rest week, and then get rid of the tickets that way. So we're getting close to this fight, 2015 it is. I hold a British title, but this isn't for the title. So I'm fighting on an undercard of Matty Fagan in Ellesmere Port Leisure Centre. And it was a good little show. On the show, if I remember rightly, there was Nathan Cartwright, Matty Fagan, like I said, Matty Askin, JJ Metcalf from Ireland, Kieran McVarnoch, and also Tyrone McCulloch. So it was a good little card, and also Stephen Lewis from my own gym. What has happened is, the year before, well, a few months before, we just had a baby. We had our first child. I already got 2 at this point. First one's my stepson, and then we had our own baby. And then a few months later, we got pregnant again right away, Irish twins. But what happened, my baby got really bad sick in the hospital. Don't know if anyone had heard of this, but I think it's called HG, hyperemesis, something like that. So it makes women really badly sick when they get pregnant. with my babe, so my babe had to go in the hospital. She couldn't keep knocking down and all that. She was there for a while, but it just fell on fight week, the week of the fight, where I should be cooling down, doing my tickets and losing my weight. It just fell on this week, so she's in the hospital, so I'm going to the hospital twice a day, training to get my weight off, and also being in the gym. So I'm training twice a day, and in between that I'm dropping the kids off at my ma's or my dad's twice a day, just to get the time so I can go to the hospital or to the gym. You know what I mean? Just madness up the wall. So for me, if it don't make the weight, then I'm not even fighting. So first and foremost, the weight. So the one thing had to go, and it was the ticket sales for me. I had no one to go round and drive around, shift the tickets for me, because I used to think, like, no, I want to be personal. I want people to know that I care. They're buying tickets, and I want them to see me. I want to make an experience for the people buying the tickets as well. And that's how I was seeing it back then. When you move on further and down your career, you're probably gonna have to get someone to do the tickets for you, because you can't. You haven't got the time always. It's hard letting go of that, because it is hard letting go of that, but you do have to, because you haven't got the time anymore. You have to focus on other things. So I let the tickets go. I thought, it's not going to affect me that much. It'll just be this fight. So what I ended up selling was something ridiculous, like 26 tickets, and none of them was in the last week. This was just people who were knocking around the gym and friends who got them a few weeks before. 26 tickets. 26 times 30 quid is what? 780 quid. Might be well off there with the maths, but I'd say something like 780 quid or something like that. It cost you about, at the time, probably about 1200 quid for the opponent. I'm getting paid. Did I get paid? I'm not too sure about this one. And yeah, so you're down there. You cost a promoter like at least 500 quid, you know what I mean? Just to be on this bill, which was a favour to me, which I didn't understand the business of it at this point. Probably coming from the amateur system, a bit ungrateful. Not ungrateful in the sense that I don't care and I expectant of this, but ungrateful in the fact that I'm ignorant. I don't even know how the business works. I don't even know I'm wasting other people's money. I don't even know that people are putting money. I'm thinking they're getting money back out of me, or they're getting me on the card. I'm just unaware, you know what I mean? So it's not like I was doing it in a nasty way. I was just ignorant to the fact that it was a business. So after that fight, I wins that fight anyway, gets the kids minded. I go to the fight, hit my mum and the kids, went to fight me half fella. It was a terrible experience, the fight, to me, to be honest, because it was just, I was spent, I was burnt out, I was worn out, and I didn't get the best reception in a way that I'd fucked up with the tickets, and now I know about it. I didn't really understand. So coming in closer to the fight, and now I'm sort of getting the gist of what's going on here with the tickets, and it's like, you haven't sold no tickets, and then people start changing on you because you're messing with people's monies and stuff like that. So I sort of then understood what's going on here. But anyway, I was fighting, and they kept me on the bill. Good of them to keep me on the bill, because in other circumstances, people just said, right, you're off the bill, you haven't sold the tickets, you haven't covered your cost, that's it. And now I would expect that, but then I didn't expect that, and I weren't even grateful that they kept me on the bill, because they had no idea, but they did. They kept me on the bill. So very grateful for that situation. So from there, this point, I'm selling hundreds of tickets, but I think the word got about, he can't sell tickets because I'd just done 26 tickets. I hadn't explained to anyone what had gone on. I just said, here's my tickets, I've only done 26 tickets. I just didn't understand that the business of it. Jason was the ticket man at the time. Jason was a lovely fella, I worked for Frank Warren, but I should have explained to him what was going on. But even when you do, it's like an excuse, because when fighters can't sell tickets, they've always got excuses and lies. I've heard some really crazy lies, you know what I mean? Like, some to the point where I've heard some fighters even just take the ticket money and leg it, and haven't even given the ticket money in. Whatever tickets they've sold, he's done and run with the money. And I've also heard fighters say things like, the fucking dog get the tickets, or like, I've lost tickets, and I've actually seen people sell tickets, give tickets out to people, where people say, I'll give you the money next week or what, and in the time between giving them the tickets, they've been nicked and they've gone to jail and the fighter's gone to the promoter and said, look, I've given tickets out to this fella, he's got so much worth of tickets, but I haven't got the money because he's been sent to jail. You'd never believe that, would you? And I've heard all these stories, you know what I mean? That one was true, by the way, but I've heard some crazy stories about the ticket sales. Some of them are just pathetic, you know what I mean? Some of them is just laughable, and some fighters say, oh yeah, I've sold it under the tickets, because they think, what I'll do, I'll bump the promoter last minute. I won't. I'll just make sure he gets me opponents here, me hotels to pay for, everything. And when I give the tickets in last minute, I'll say, oh, I don't know what happened. Someone's asked for all the money back, and I've had to give 300 tickets back today. You know what I mean? Just some bad lies. But in this situation, I think I knew, like, whatever you say, he's just gonna think it's a lie. But in this point, in this circumstance, I was actually telling the truth, and it gave me a bad reputation for selling tickets. So what has happened then? Things just changed drastically, because the next fight I had was against a fella called, I've spoke about this episode 1 on this channel, of worst boxing experiences against Martin Ward. So why it was one of the worst experiences, because the British title fight, which was my next fight, my first defence of the British title fight, it went to purse bids against Martin Ward, and my own promoter didn't put a purse in for that fight. And a British title fight, I spoke about this before, it was a £4,000 purse bid, and well, I think it must have been an £8,000 purse bid, and I got £4,000. So that was a drastic change, you know what I mean? So what the promoter must have thought, I'm not putting in for him 30 grand for the purse bid or something for the British title fight, and then he's going to generate £1,000 back. It doesn't make no business for him, it doesn't make no sense. So that's what happened, and I just didn't know what was going on. I had no idea why all of a sudden I'm fighting on Box Nation, and now it just didn't add up to me, because I didn't understand the business of it. It only clicked together years later when I connect the dots and I go, oh yeah, so after I fight, 26 ticket sales, and now I'm getting sent up to Newcastle to defend my title for little money, and then the fight after that was against Rigondeaux, and I'm the opponent. So now it's like cashing on me because I can't sell no tickets. And then the fight after that, because I still had my British title, was against Tommy Ward, the kid who was coming up, and I lost that fight as well. So you can see what's happened here. It's like he doesn't generate no money because of this 26 ticket sales, which fucking really did damage me career. I just had no idea at the time because I was so young and didn't understand the business of it. But anyway, must I digress again? So after that fight, I had to just start again. I had to start from the bottom. There was no one willing to how ironic this was. I had to start on a ticket deal. I had to go back to ticket deals, and now I'm generating the ticket sales, which I'm covering my costs and my opponent's costs once again, which was mad, because it doesn't make no sense, does it? All of a sudden he's selling tickets now, you know what I mean? So got myself back to a place where I'm selling ticket deals, build myself back up, and I'm winning fights again. All, by the way, thank you to everyone who has bought these tickets off me all along, you know what I mean? Even when people thought I weren't selling tickets, people are buying tickets off me. It's much appreciated. Even when they didn't have to buy tickets on the non-televised fights, even when they have to on the TV shows, they still come to support me and they're getting the tickets from me. So that means a lot, by the way. And people don't understand that. It's your fans, your friends, who are putting you in these positions, because without ticket sales, no one will put you in this position anyway, a lot of the time. So then I worked my way back up. I had to put myself back onto, I had to sell tickets to get myself back into title contention and fight for these titles, you know what I mean? And promoters aren't going to put a title on the line, because a sanctioning fee for a title costs money. So I ended up going back into winning a few titles. The titles cost money. The sanctioning titles, what you fight for, these cost money as well. So obviously you have to cover your own costs, and then to put the title on the line and stuff like that. So that's all generated by ticket sales. And if it's non-televised, it's smaller shows. Therefore, ticket sales, the fans pay the bills. And after that, I got myself back in. What happened then? Did I fight for the world title again? No one ever. I went into the Golden Contact tournament, and I actually seen Solano in the Golden Contact tournament. One day, I'd been to America at this point, and when I was living in Miami, I learned a bit of Spanish. And I seen this fella, and I was like, no, you're looking at something, and he led on to me, and I led on to him at the same time. And we knew, well, I knew him, but I didn't know where I knew him from. But it was Solano, but I didn't know. I was like, am I your dad? And he said, no, am I your son? And so I busted him to carry him away. So it was like that. I was like, do I know you? And he's like, no, yeah, do you know, remember me? So I was speaking to him in Spanish for a long fucking hour. What are you on about? I was like, what are you going on about, lad? So I started speaking to him a little bit in Spanish. Because he couldn't speak English. And it turns out it was him. The cunt had gone up to middleweight. He probably couldn't have helped himself with his food, but he had a few good names on his record since. Like he was still a journeyman, but he ended up going up to middleweight. He must have thought, fuck this, I'm not dieting, I'm a journeyman. I can't diet and be a journeyman, so I'm just gonna go up to middleweight. But I didn't even recognise him because he put that much weight on. I put on 2 pounds since, and he must have put on about 20. But yeah, he was a lovely fella. He was actually a lovely fella, but I didn't recognise him because he put that much weight on. He's still the same size as me. Obviously, he'd never grown, but he had filled out a little bit round the waist as well. So what I realised and the takeaway from this is, any young fighters who are out there and they're watching this, or if you know a young fighter who could watch this and benefit from it, and he doesn't quite know the business yet, and he's a bit naive to the sport, well, to the business, it'll help. You know what I mean? Ticket sales are so important, and when I manage John Edwardson myself, I have to express to him, look, Edo, the tickets are so important. You've got to cover your costs at least, because your promoter's they're gonna be frustrated with you. You're not gonna get another shot with them. You don't get 2 chances with them a lot of the time. I was lucky that I did, and I got a chance to go on to fight for maybe. The biggest was maybe 4,000 people in Liverpool. That was the IBO title not long ago. And 4,000 people in a non-televised show is a lot of sales, and promoters will know that, because like you get like matchroom shows. Some world champions aren't generating that. Some world champions can't generate 4,000 seats, and that's on a televised show. So that's where I got myself, well, I never got myself back up to. People supported me and got me back up to that place, and that's where I am. But I don't think it ever got out that he's a ticket seller now. Does that make sense? Because of that 26 tickets. So that did damage me in a lot of ways, but it never stopped people from coming to support me, and I appreciate that, you know, because boxing is a working class sport, and it's so important to stay in tune with the people who support you from day one, and I'll never forget that support. Must I digress one more time? So yeah, I express massively to all the fighters who are coming through, ticket sales are so important, and it's gonna be more important than boxing. So you spend your amateur career getting as good as you can, but if you're not selling tickets, it doesn't matter how good you are, because you're just good in the gym. You know what I mean? You could be blathering everyone in the gym and you never get a chance to show it. So make sure you build a fan base, even as come on mate, so even as an amateur, get yourself on social media, build a fan base on social media. It's so important. I used to think back when I was a kid and I was on social media. My mate Anthony Fowler, he was brilliant on the social media. He used to spend a lot of the time on there, and I remember being on a Great Britain team with him one time on a squad, and we were just chilling having down time after training in between our next session, and he was on social media, and I remember looking over and thinking, wow, he spends a lot of the time on that social media. He's wasting his time. That was my thought as a 17-year-old kid. He's just wasting his time on that social media. Why doesn't he enjoy some reality? Why doesn't he have a laugh? Why is he on that social media so much? But Anthony Fowler went on to build one of the biggest CBD companies in Britain. I think it's the biggest in Britain right now, and he's probably one of the biggest CBD companies in the world. And I always put it down to his marketing. He's brilliant at marketing. So he knew something back then when social media, it was relatively new. So he knew something back then that not everyone did know. Everyone didn't utilise it. Twitter, Instagram, he's got a massive following on there now. It was only years later when I copped on and I thought I'll start doing that myself and going on social media and all that. So yeah, young fighters out there, young anyone who got a business, it's free marketing, and you should be spending a lot of your time on social media. If you're not going to do it yourself, get someone to do it, because a lot of fighters, they can be brilliant in the dark and you'll never get a chance to show it. Luckily enough, I've got a good fan base on the social media now, and it's going well. I want to start doing this YouTube because I believe YouTube is a hub. No matter what, when social media changes, it used to be Facebook, not no more. It's not the big one no more. Now, then it went to Twitter, not no more. Now I'd say Instagram is the big one, TikTok. So, but if you've got a YouTube, I believe that's the central hub that can go from all of them. You can link them all to YouTube. I think YouTube's here to stay. So I want to try and get on YouTube now and build a platform. That's why I'm telling these stories and experiences on YouTube, because it's good to hear them, it's good to listen. So yeah, that was my uninteresting, not very interesting, just informative story about ticket sales and my fight with Solano. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something, and you have a lovely day. Thank you.